So tonight we have the opening reception for Embodied, Contemporary Takes on the Dress, and this features 13 different artists from across the state, and this dress exhibit is just their own unique takes on the dress. A lot of them have a lot of personal narrative, personal history behind their dress. It's very, very interesting. This gallery exhibit is going on from now through September 5th, and our gallery hours are Monday through Thursday from 10 a.m. till 5 p.m. So be sure to drop by, and even during song theater performances, you can come in the gallery even if you're not going to a show, and you can still check out the exhibit. It's free admission.
This event is a show about stories. It's 13 artists that have 13 stories to tell, and we decided as a group to tell these stories on a dress, using the dress as our canvas. It came together in late 2019, early 2020, when the pandemic hit. I was making my dress for a solo show that I have. I was looking for something sculptural to put in the middle of a bunch of wall art, and when the pandemic, I hadn't started it yet, and when the pandemic hit, I thought, this is it. We're in lockdown. This is my time. I'm gonna make my dress. And as I was reaching out to other colleagues and artist friends, I realized that there were quite a few of us who were making dresses, and I thought someone should show all these dresses together. And then I had a dream one night that it was me, so I woke up and thought, I'm gonna do it. Yeah, so that's how it all came about. I had shown here a couple of years ago my solo show, and I knew this space well, and I knew how big and open and the arches and everything, and I thought this would be the perfect place for our show. So I reached out to Bruce and sent him some photos and said, hey, you need this. And he immediately said, yes, we do. So that's how this came about. Thank you all for coming. This is such a great crowd. Really appreciate all of you coming down from Birmingham and from wherever, all the other Huntsville and the other places you've come from. This exhibition is, I call it an exhibition about stories. It just so happens that they're being told using the dress as a canvas. It all came together at the beginning of the pandemic. I had this idea that I wanted to make a dress, which is the Cotton Club dress over there, that I wanted to make a dress for a solo exhibition that I have, because I wanted something sculptural in my exhibition, and I wanted to tell the story of the Duke Ellington era of the Cotton Club. And when the pandemic hit, and I talked to other colleagues and friends about what they were doing with their lockdown, I was amazed at how many other artists had the idea to either make a dress or had already made a dress, or were in the process of making a dress. And I thought, somebody should show all these dresses together. And it turns out I was the one that that needed to show all the dresses together. So it's been a beautiful journey, and it's been very cathartic and organic and zen, working with all these artists. Everyone, there's 13 of us, and everyone comes in and puts up their own art, sets up their dresses, sets up their process art, which is just an opportunity for you guys to see what our process was while we were making the dresses. And it's been a wonderful thing. We've had a lot of interest. So I am gonna pass the mic and let each of these artists talk about their pieces. If you have any questions when this is over, we're happy to answer them. And thanks again for coming.
I'm Tara. Thank you all for coming. It's a real honor and a privilege to be a part of this show. Look at everyone involved, and to be a part of this amazing group of artists is incredible. I'm so grateful to Leanna. My dress is here in the corner. This is our 4th time showing, and I'm really just figuring out what my dress is about, which I think is really about parenting and immorality. And you could go down a lot of avenues with both of those topics, but how to navigate that, be a role model. So this is my son in the corner, Nick. Um, we're advertising the Jedi. Um, this is Princess Mononoke, a little mask at the top, which is really representative of my daughter. Um, and I just learned last week that Princess Mononoke was an influence for Ahsoka Tano. So there are all these great correlations between a lot of these seemingly disparate parts that I'm working with. But in my mind, they tell the story of divorce, family, uh, and how do you navigate every single day. And right and wrong is not always such an easy thing to live by, or certainly to role model or to be a mentor as a parent. So I think I said it in a nutshell. Ask me any questions if you have any.
Hi, I am Amanda. My dress is the Valkyrie over here in the back corner in green. And before I get started, I also want to thank Leanna for inviting me to be a part of this. When she spoke to me, I had this collection of ice skating medals that I had found in the back of a closet, doing the COVID clean out. And I knew that I wanted to create some kind of armor with them. It just felt like a natural extension of using the metal and how to reinterpret that for what we went through in the pandemic. And this dress evolved from that. It's really, for me, the embodiment of the stories that we tell each other to help get through tough times. So we have, the Valkyrie imagery as a strong woman who just does what has to be done. And for this installation, I wanted to focus on healing and recovery and thinking about how we all work through the tough times so that we can get on to the better things and how we can take the hardships that we endure and make them beautiful. So I have all of these tassels that I've created, and it was just such a wonderful experience to sit with and tie that kind of resilience into the work. I also, with the crocheted stars, that's what I do all the time. I sit and I crochet and I talk to people and I hear their stories. So it's just a beautiful compilation of the past couple of years of healing and growth in the state and in the travels that I've done. So thank you all for being here. If you have questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Hi, I'm Michelle Reynolds, and my dress is the canvas. I'm the space hog over there. In the beginning of the pandemic, I've always been a nature gal. I love nature vignettes wherever I go, and I hike a lot, and I kayak, and I spend a lot of time in the garden. And so at the beginning of the pandemic, I was going out hiking, and so was everybody, and their mother and brother and sister and friends, and I felt kind of awkward being there with so many people because I'm kind of shy and introverted that way. And so I retreated to my garden, and I appreciated all the little nature stories that were going on around me. And my tent is my dress is like a bell tent and a fort. I originally built it on these metal straps that go around an old cedar hot tub. And Leanna's like, no, that's way too big. So I had to get a little bit smaller, and so I put my canvas wall pieces around stumps, and so the whole fort thing totally works still. And my little nature freak flags are flying over there. The wrens are getting into the spider webs and eating bugs, and there's a chipmunk and a lizard, I think, and a lot of bugs and birds and critters, and that is really my life. And the weights, my dad died the year of the 1920, and he was in the bed with Parkinson's for the last 5 years. And he had a stack of weights, and my mother kept trying to take them away. And he would say, "No, I'm still going to use those." And of course, he couldn't use those. But anyway, when he died, I took them. And he always said I had built-in geometry. I had a slipcover business, and I could put all kinds of pieces together. And he challenged me as a little kid to make shapes, 3D models of the shapes that he would draw. And so there's a lot of little shapes over there with the weights encased. So that's about it.
Hi, I'm Kimberly Hart, and I created the second cyanotype dress. It's a friend of mine described it as a cross between a goddess and a flapper dress. And I'm like, well, that is perfect. That's exactly what it is. And I am so lucky that Leanna invited me to be part of this. This is an amazing thing to be part of. Just to watch the artists come in and put up their stuff and listen to Leanna talk about the work and how to put it together is just beautiful. And George, who helped us hang this, did an amazing job. I just want to give a shout out to him. He was patient, kind, and has an amazing eye, and that helps a lot. Back to my story, about 2020, the beginning of the pandemic, I was in nature a lot. I was in my yard all the time. And so the yard flowers, or I call them ditchweed flowers. People like weeds. I really discovered I loved weeds. I don't know if it was being by myself, but my dress is primarily about genetics and epigenetics and how, because it gave me a lot of time to think about that. On both sides of my family, they died from the Spanish influenza. My grandfather came home from World War I, and his entire family was wiped out. My grandmother, she and her 5 siblings almost starved to death because both her parents died during the influenza, and all they had was preserves to eat until their grandmother could drive up from Mobile and take care of them. And so it gave me a lot of thought. So my dress is kind of based on family photographs and snow and peas, just from genetic testing, and finding out about genes. And so I relied really heavily on that, because that was what I was thinking about at the beginning, how the loss and how it affected my family, and then how genetics, how we repeat things, even though we try not to repeat it. It's genetically embedded in us, some things, and we do repeat it. And it's really hard to root out. So those are the kind of stories that I was really fascinated with during 2020. And that's really all I have to say. Anyone have any questions? I'd be happy to answer them after this.
Hi, everyone. My name is Marilee Chalice, and this is my dress here, and this is my process wall. And this piece actually was not started during the pandemic. This piece started in 1999 when I was in graduate school in Philadelphia. It had another life. It had another name. It was sort of a part of an installation that I created when I was in graduate school at the Pennsylvania Academy of Fine Arts. And this piece is created from bras that I bought at thrift stores, and I cut them apart, and then I stitched them back together and stuffed them, and I lined the back. This used to be a quilt, and it's got red satin underneath, which you can peek a little bit of, and it's really heavy and warm. And the piece was called Smother, which was about the maternal, that sort of struggle we have with our mothers. They're nurturing, but they can also smother. And that, maybe I'm saying too much about my own relationship with my mother, whom I dearly love, but that was sort of the origin of the piece. I actually sold the piece. It was returned to me. So this piece has had many lives. And when it came back to me, I cut a hole in it and I mounted the dress form onto a metal stool and then created this piece out of that. And when I was in grad school in Philadelphia, I was really going through sort of my feminist awakening in my artwork, which I think is evident here. If you see this says premenstrual bloating cage. So hands up. I'm having a hot flash now as I'm talking to you. So all of these themes are still very present and with me. And there's one thing that I hear again and again when the other artists are talking. They're talking about resilience and transformation. And I feel like that's kind of a through line for our pieces, and it's just such an honor to be part of this amazing show. And it's so interesting to see how everybody's pieces change and evolve over time every time we show it. So I'm just really honored to be here. Thank you.
I do want to say quickly a thank you to the 6 artists that didn't get to come tonight. We're from all over the state of Alabama, and I think all of them, except for one, are from Huntsville, which was a long drive with a lot of rain. So I encourage you to go around and read the artist statements, especially of the ones that aren't here that didn't get to talk about their dresses, because they'll give you a lot of insight into where their heads were when they were making their dresses. We have a Mexican artist who has used traditional Mexican embroidery and paint to tell her story about her little town of Delgado, Mexico. And we have an Asian artist back over here who has told a story about the lost children of Japan. Erin's dress over here in this corner over here is about the fashion industry being the 3rd largest polluter in the world, and she created this dress. It fits all women. It's made in a way that any woman can wear it, and it has been all over the world. It's been photographed in many different settings and situations, including underwater, I believe in Iceland. And then I can't, Cynthia's dress over here is made from eggshells. And it really tells the story about being a woman and the hazards that go along with being a woman. And this dress over here is Robin Nance Met's dress. Robin is no longer with us, but I would like to thank her husband Ted for bringing this dress over so that we could use it in the show. Robin passed away in 2022, but she made this dress before she passed. And please read her artist statement, because she was working on it while she was sick. And it's just one of the most beautiful stories here. And I think, and SJ and Katie, yeah, you can read these artist statements. I won't keep talking about this. And my dress, which I didn't really talk about, is about the Duke Ellington era of the Cotton Club. There were 3 band leaders. Duke Ellington was one, Cab Calloway was one, and Jimmy Lunsford was one. And I chose Duke Ellington because he ran the Cotton Club as a band leader when he was 27 years old. And that is just crazy. And he wrote almost a new song every single day so the orchestra could perform it at night in a situation where he couldn't even go through the front door. He couldn't use the bathroom. He couldn't eat the food, and he had to exit through the back door. And I have so much and the owner of the Cotton Club, Oni Madden, was running it from Sing Sing prison. So I had to tell the story. It's just too crazy to believe. I appreciate, again, all of y'all coming. Thank you so much. And thanks to all these artists for participating in this over and over again. I love you all. Thank you.